Hey guys, I just want to talk about some of the controversies with Dragon's Dogma 2. Now that I've put about 10 hours into the game, I feel like I can give you guys an actual informed take. A lot of people out there, online, they hear controversy and they don't read up on it or they don't play the game themselves in this case, and then they just see all the listings of DLC on the Steam store or something, and then they just go right to, oh my god, this is terrible or whatever. So I want to talk about all the controversies, and I want to talk about my take on them. And some of them I think are justified, and some of them I think are just absolutely moronic. So let's get into it. First thing first that I think is silly to complain about is the microtransaction. Yes, there are microtransactions. Every single one of these allows you to just get something that's already in the game. They're all pay for convenience. And most of the time, they're stupid because it'll be something like rift crystals, which the game already gives you a massive amount of and you do not use very often. Um, so none of these are particularly egregious, and I find it a little weird that people are complaining about these microtransactions, which are all things you can get in the game without a lot of grinding, other than maybe the port crystal that allows you to place extra um, fast travel points around, which you already get in the game and you already get at the main towns. But that one is definitely useful for sure. But I find it kind of interesting because Resident Evil 4 Remake had, in my opinion, far more egregious microtransactions that I actually talked about in my review of the game, and nobody was complaining about that. And some of those actually were like pay to win, if you consider, because one of those microtransactions actually added in treasures to the game that were impossible to find and did not exist in the normal game. So that meant that if you had the DLC for more treasures in Resident Evil 4 Remake and you played perfectly, you got all the treasures and all of that in your game, you would have more money and more materials and stuff like that than somebody that played the game perfectly that just bought the game normally with no microtransactions. So to me, that was far more egregious. And then even then, I didn't think it was that big of a deal because it's a fucking single player game and you can get all this stuff you can get all your weapons and stuff fully upgraded, but it also had like weapon upgrade tokens and stuff like that, right? That you could buy. And a lot of this stuff is just pay for convenience. And here's my thoughts on pay for convenience. I don't care. Okay? As long as, and this is the important stipulation, I do not care for pay convenience as long as the game itself has not been artificially constructed in a way to induce people to purchase microtransactions that are pay for convenience. Okay? And I know that was kind of wordy, so let me dumb it down for all of you that maybe can't follow. If the game is made grindy to try and get you to pay real money for these pay for convenience microtransactions, that's bad. If the game is just normally how it was and they have pay for convenience, then I don't care. And from my 10 hours played, it seems like it is that situation where it is not incredibly grindy or anything. And these microtransactions exist purely as pay for convenience for the dad that works 9 to 5 and gets maybe 1 hour a day to play a game. He's not going to probably want to only have, at the start of the game, only have the two fast travel points between the two main cities when he's starting off, right? Maybe he wants to place some more fast travel points so he's spending less time of his own time traveling to these places. But this is an open world game that is heavily exploration focused. And traveling from point A to point B, while time consuming in a lot of the times, is actually very enjoyable. And if you watch my video that I just uploaded saying I hate open world games, then you'll know I have a big problem with open world games and them feeling like they don't need to be open world, or them feeling like they're wasting the player's time with a bunch of, menial horseshit. And I don't feel that way at all playing this game. I love exploring the world. I find the world interesting, and going from point A to point B is actually one of the most fun parts of the game because of all the exploration, all of the encounters that happen along the way. That is the player forging their own narrative. But if somebody doesn't like that and they want to, get a bunch of extra like fast travel points, I honestly don't really care. And the fast travel points is the only one I'm talking about because all the others are literally throwaway. Like, you already get the rift crystals. Wake stones are practically useless because you're always hiring new pawns anyway. Those allow you to revive, your fallen people. The gal keys and stuff you can purchase for extremely cheap. So, and maybe the character editor one matters to some people. I agree, like, but you can get that in game. So, yeah, the whole microtransaction debate, I'm going to be honest, after actually playing the game, I I don't think it's as bad as Resident Evil 4 remake was. Not that that's an excuse, not that that is, you know, completely makes it okay or anything like that, but I don't think it's bad at all. Honestly, I think it's all pay for convenience, and I'm fine with pay for convenience because while I personally am not going to engage in it, it is something that helps people. Um, so I don't really care too much about it. And according to many of the rumors I've seen, Capcom is kind of being bullied into placing microtransactions into their games. And I heard this back, there was rumblings about that back with Resident Evil 4 Remake as well. So if that is the case and they have to put microtransactions in their games, then I would much rather have it be actual trivial horseshit that you can buy that you'll just get a ton of by playing the game naturally than something that's even more like Resident Evil 4, right? Where it's actual things that you cannot get if you play the game normal. So that's, yeah, the first controversy I don't really agree with. Second controversy I do actually agree with is this whole idea of performance issues. Yeah, there's performance issues. Most of the time, I'm playing on all maxed out settings other than ray tracing and shadow quality only on high instead of max because there's practically no visual difference, but a huge FPS difference. And yeah, most of the time my game is locked at 120 FPS. However, the moment I touch a town, that shit drops. And I've seen it drop as low as like 52, 51 FPS. So, yeah, in towns it is rough. And I have easily like a 1% PC now, since I've rebuilt it. I have a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, which is like one of the best processors you can buy for gaming in the world. I have a RTX 4070 Ti Super, which is a very high end card. There's only a handful of cards that are better than that. And yeah, there's absolutely no excuse for my rig getting sub 60 FPS ever in 1440p unless I'm doing some crazy ray tracing or something like that. So, yeah, performance in towns is definitely bad. That is an approved controversy. I agree with people there. However, the good thing is it's really only in town that I ever see FPS difference. Like, I am like 120 FPS locked out in the open world doing anything. And luckily, at least so far, in 10 hours, I haven't had to fight anybody in a town. So I'm just walking around talking to NPCs and shit, buying gear, selling gear. So I don't really care about, sub 60 FPS or whatever. And most of the time, I'm still at like 70, 80 FPS in a town, but I have seen it drop as low as 50. So I agree with that controversy. I'm sure that they're going to optimize it, but I agree 100% that it needs to be better. Next controversy, um, I'm kind of mixed on is the fact that there's only one save slot. You only have your one character there's no way to make a new character, and this is something I'm kind of mixed on because for one, I agree it's an absolutely just stupid game design choice. I don't know who thought that that was a good game design choice. It's fucking dumb. But on the other hand, I don't know why people are complaining about it right now when none of us have beat the game. None of us need to create a new game, you know? I don't know, maybe people just want to create a new game, but this isn't like a Baldur's Gate 3 or something where making a new tons of new games really makes sense to me because there's all these decisions to make and there's all the like the character creators crazy and all the classes you can play and multi-classing. Uh, this is a game with like no decisions, and you can change your class at any time. So yeah, I don't really understand. I'll be honest. Unless maybe you just completely fuck up your character creator at the beginning. Um, but yeah, I agree. Like this is why I'm mixed on it. I agree it's a stupid design decision. They're going to be implementing. They came out and they said they're going to implement like either multiple save slots or a way to create a new game. I agree. It's super dumb, but I also just don't think it's that big of a problem at this point when none of us have fucking beat the game. Once we beat the game, if there's like no new game plus and there's no new way to or no new way to like start a new playthrough from there, I'll 100% probably have a better understanding of that, but I haven't seen anybody that's beaten the game talk about this yet, so I'm unsure if that's the case. But yeah, I think it's a dumb design decision. I don't think it's a reason to not buy a game personally, but maybe I'm missing something here. I'd love to hear why that's a big problem if you think it's a big issue with the game, if that's stopping you from buying the game. I think maybe I'm just misunderstanding this or something cuz to me I don't understand. Um and then a controversy I actually 100% get behind is that people are trying to get their save reset to make a new playthrough, and so they were trying to manipulate their save file or delete their save file, and they actually got banned for this and completely locked out of their game they just spent $70 on. Now that's insane. That is 100% worth being upset about, and that is a controversy that's nice and juicy. I can 100% get behind that. You should never be banned. I don't think you should even be banned for cheating in a single player game. But you should certainly never be banned for trying to reset your save file because the game doesn't let you have a new game. That's just fucking idiotic. And I hope those people all get unbanned because that's ridiculous. But that brings me to my other controversy that I agree with and why that's happening is because of Denuvo. I have a history of talking about Denuvo on the channel. I hate Denuvo. I hate it. I think it is a terrible DRM. And I think that, yeah, it's great that it makes it so your game, can't be pirated. It also has the unfortunate side effect of fucking every single person that legally purchased your game, also known as the people you shouldn't be fucking and you should be rewarding. So Denuvo is proven to have performance impacts, to have situations like this now where people are being banned for deleting their save files, and I 100% get behind people hating Denuvo. I have hated Denuvo for forever, and I've talked about it forever. Denuvo is terrible, and I would not be surprised if a big reason that this game has performance, issues is partly because of Denuvo. I would not be surprised at all. I remember that they came out and they said, no, 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 no. With Resident Evil 8 Village, they said, no, Denuvo has no impact on performance. And then somebody pirated it and they made a version without Denuvo. And guess what, motherfuckers? It ran better. Significantly so. So yeah, I have no doubt that Denuvo is causing some sort of performance issues in the game. But on top of that, people are getting banned for something as simple as, changing their save file. And this is why also I'm afraid to even mod the game. People have already made a wonderful mod that adds DLSS 3. Since I have a 4070 Ti Super, I was thinking, oh, DLSS 3, that will improve my frame rates, exponentially and will easily allow me to run at 100 plus FPS in towns and stuff like that. But after hearing people are getting banned just for trying to delete a save file, I'm not fucking touching those files, brother. Hell no. I will play the 50 FPS in towns. I am not touching them. I'm not getting banned for trying to manipulate the files, which is just, once again, it's absurd. You bought the game, and this is my take on it. You bought the game, you own the fucking game. And if it's single player, you should be allowed to cheat, you should be allowed to mod, you should be allowed to do whatever the fuck you want because you bought it. If you try and tell me that buying a game, especially digitally, is not owning a game, by that very same logic, I propose to you that torrenting and pirating a game is not stealing a game, motherfucker. That is an exact extension of the logic you are attempting to use, or realistically, lack thereof. And I just think it's absurd. If you buy a game, you own a fucking game. Let the people do what the hell they want if it's a single player game. So yeah, that's all the controversies that I've seen with the game. Honestly, I think the microtransaction ones are a little bit silly. I don't really care about pay for convenience as long as the game itself and the pacing is not being affected by that. I know people will make the argument that it incentivizes the developers to make games purposely grindy in order for people to purchase these microtransactions. And I agree it does incentivize it. However, I have not seen that at all in the case of this game. So I do not believe that to be the case in this regard. But yeah, I do think that the performance issues need fixed. It looks like they're going to be, but I understand, at this point, being upset with the performance. I understand. I don't understand being upset about no new game, but I also just think it's a stupid decision to not have a new game. So, I'm kind of on your guys' side. I just don't understand why it's that big of a deal. And fuck Denuvo is basically where I'm at there. But anyway, I just thought I'd give you, my take on it as somebody that is a big Capcom fan. And for a long time now, I've said that Capcom could do no wrong, and they were the heroes of the AAA industry and the only devs that I would pre-order from. And after playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and all this controversy, I have to say, I still hold that opinion. I still think Dragon's Dogma 2 is highly enjoyable. It's one of the best open world experiences that I have had. And I really, really like the game. I agree it has some issues. And of course, once I finally beat it, I'll make a review and I'll talk about all of that. But yeah, I still think that they make phenomenal games. I just think that we are potentially at a slippery slope scenario where we do need to speak up about some of these practices so that they don't happen in the future. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see all of you in the next video. It's from Shermaroni. Bye-bye.